Microsoft down more than 8% in the last 2 months. Options traders, though, are betting on an upswing. And Pete, I know you're going to join us now. Here's what I want to do first, though. Guys, can we show this? Can we show it now? There's the market cap battle. Oh, how the mightiest has fallen, because Apple's barely now the biggest market cap stock in the world. Publicly traded company. Was $1 trillion. Remember that. Stock's down 21% in 3 months. Pete, I got Apple at 809. Now, you don't know shares outstanding because the buyback and all that stuff. We get it.
Right.
Let's call them neck and neck, though, and that tells you all you need to know about what Apple has done lately. And Microsoft, look, you know, it's weathered that big tech storm to some respects.
Yeah, absolutely. And Apple was the name that actually was hanging in there, and then finally that was given up as well, Scott. And that really has been on this decline. Even on today's, tape, when we were looking at the strength in the market itself, and then you look over at Apple, you see it going into the red. That's pretty shocking, quite frankly. But yes, Microsoft has hung in there extremely well. As a matter of fact, somebody in there today, I'll jump to the unusual activity.
Go, yeah,
somebody
please.
in there today actually. If somebody in there today, the 105 calls, they're 3 weeks out, not 2 weeks out, they're 3 weeks out from where they are right now. They're buying the 105s. Those are right at the money, Scott. So that's somebody that's anticipating that the stock actually has some elevation over the next 3 weeks from where it is right now, and they're betting on that by paying about just under $3 for these options. About 4,000 of those traded today. So pretty aggressive. Like to see that. Stock is about 10% off of its highs. So it makes sense that if people are trying to defend this thing right now, that maybe this is the time to step in for Microsoft. I already own the stock. I like what I'm seeing here. As a matter of fact, with some of the inflated volatility, I have a tendency to want to look at different ways that I'd maybe sell options against my long stock position there. But I feel even more comfortable holding on to the stock because of the calls that we're seeing today. So I got one other one for you real quick.
Hang on before you do that, though. I want to kick Microsoft around a little bit, and I want you to be here for that part of the conversation. Sure. Right, we talk about
the only innocent man.
Cap.
This is like out of all the large cap tech names, this is the only one that didn't come out on a conference call and upset everyone. So maybe it should be the biggest company in the world. But then counterintuitively, if you're a shareholder of either Apple or Microsoft, this is a crown you don't want. You don't want to own the world's biggest market cap. Historically, that has not worked out well for you.
It's like the Sports Illustrated cover jinx.
Yeah, you don't want it.
Microsoft is getting rewarded for having executed on their fundamentals. And frankly, I don't think it's an expensive stock. The stock has, it's still growing. It's basically selling at its growth rate, which is still, in my view, cheap. It should get a premium to its growth rate in this market.
Pete, you seen anything in the options market on Apple these days? I mean, because the sentiment has gotten just so negative. The narrative's changed completely.
And that was something that you had asked me about a week or so ago. You said, when do you finally step into Apple? I said, well, you want to step into Apple when we finally start to see some of the option players actually step in. That still hasn't happened, Scott. I actually wasn't very disciplined because last Friday I actually dipped in and did buy a little bit of more Apple just because of the decline that I'd seen so far. I do want to wait before I actually jump a little bit deeper back into Apple, even more, I should say. By seeing some of those options, that certainly would give me a lot more confidence. We have not seen that at all yet for Apple, and that's pretty disappointing, quite honestly.
I'm not just talking about bullish options activity. I was actually talking about the other side of the coin.
No, you know what? The surprising thing has been, Apple's always been one of the leaders in terms of the actual volume in activity. Not necessarily unusual buying or selling in Apple, but just in sheer volume. Apple tends to be the leader almost every single day. That's something that's been surprising, Scott, because we really haven't seen it. People aren't making big bets to the downside in Apple. They're not making big bets to the upside in Apple right now. So I would say that's one of the surprising characteristics of what we're seeing in this sell-off is I don't know who's really winning to the downside, and certainly those that are long, including myself, are losing to the downside on this push, and yet nobody wants to really step in and take a stand in either direction just yet.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Pete, give me the other one you had. It's the XLI, right?
Yeah, the XLI. Now, the interesting thing here, Scott, is this is a 2-week out option, and they're coming out and buying just out of the money calls. They're the December 72 calls. Stock was trading just a little higher than it is right now. So keep an eye on this. They're very inexpensive, gives you a great opportunity, and they bought 20,000 of these calls for around 50 cents today. I'm in those. I like what I'm seeing there. Maybe something positive comes into the market. Maybe it's G20 related, whatever it might be, but we're seeing a lot of paper flowing into there. That was part of a spread that they bought earlier.